There you go.
Mm.
So hello everybody, and welcome to this fourth day of International Women's Week. Laura is just making a call with one of our guests, and she's gonna be starting this evening very soon.
Okay.
Laura, are you ready?
Yes.
That's great. All right. Don't worry, I'm gonna reach out to Miss Jensen and see what's going on there, so you can
Okay.
just take care of the event.
Okay.
All right.
So, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning. Thank you for being here with us. I know for a lot of you it's an effort because maybe it's too late in the night or too early in the morning. So we are honored that you decide to be part of this event. And although the Woman Day was a day before on the 8th, I would like to take the opportunity to wish all the lady present a spring crowned with successes, many achievements, and much happiness. First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Laura, and I am a social media coordinator for the World Spirit of the Game Foundation. And at this event, I have the honor of being the host for all of our guests, and in the same time, the moderator for these 6 extraordinary ladies that will speak with us today and share their experience and knowledge. And I'm really honored that they accepted to be our speakers, and I need to thank them a lot for that. As you probably noticed already in our schedule, today's event is divided into 3 stages. We'll start with a generalist panel and continue with individual presentation to the next hour. This being said, this is my pleasure to introduce the 4 ladies who will start our discussion on women in corporate business. In alphabetical order, I want to present you Mrs. Aparna Majahan, an experienced management professional, an expert in leadership and development with a professional career both in India and in the international context in the domains of academics, corporate, non-profit, and international agencies, with whom we will talk today about the problems that unfortunately women still encounter in the corporate world, namely discrimination based on gender and how it affects us. And then we'll have Mrs. Jenny Rock, an international mastery coach, expert in conflict resolution with specialization in parenting, who will talk to us today about a special position for a woman, that of a mother, and how we combine this in our corporate career. Mrs. Lucia Domenica will follow, an expert in efficiency and productivity, a coach in life and work balance, specialized in time management and work impact, together with whom we will discuss a little the fears we all face, namely the inability to manage our time and the stress from the two private and professional position. And the last, only alphabetically, of course, Mrs. Esim Saidan, an international expert and strategist in executive business, brand authority, and influence, who will share with us some information and knowledges about the women who choose to cross the bridge between corporate and entrepreneurship and reinvent themselves. Ladies, first of all, I want again to thank you for your presence. I want to know that for me as a young professional, it is an honor to be your moderator. And just like our guest, I will be very attentive at your presentation because I will thoroughly get extremely useful information from all of you, which I want again to thank you for sharing them with us today. Before we start, I want to tell the guests who are watching that they can ask questions related to the topics at the end of each presentation, both verbally and via chat for each of our speakers. So if you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask us, and I will present your question to our speakers. So, because Women's Day has just passed, and for some culture, March 8th is also the Mother's Day, for other culture, this special day is also approaching. I would like to start with Mrs. Jenny Rock, And I will ask her to speak to us about the corporate mother, and especially about the new mother who has to return to work, and about the emotional challenge of this step. Jenny, please.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. First of all, Laura, I'm really honoured to be here on the panel today, and I remember very clearly the anguish, if you like, that I felt as a, a mum dropping off my baby at nursery at 5 months old, and then I kept thinking it must get easier. It must get easier. It didn't. It just got different. And when they're trying to peel a toddler off of you, and the toddler is crying and screaming and calling for his mum, you hand them over and then you drive to work crying all the way, because it's hard. It's really hard, and nobody really tells you quite how rough it's going to be. But I think the first and foremost thing that I had to tell myself was that I wasn't a bad mother. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was doing the best that I could in providing for my family, and I was doing my son a service, really, in allowing him the opportunity to explore new adventures that he wasn't going to get with me, because they did the whole mucky play things that I didn't do. He was going to have fun. He would have lots of attention and lots of people looking after him and playing with him as a single child that he wouldn't have at home. And I firmly believe that that gave him an advantage in terms of socialization in his early years, and also in his language development, because he was so far ahead of his peers in terms of languages, and sort of being able to pronounce words correctly, use them in the correct context, learn what he needed to learn at that stage early on, colors, shapes, all of those things. But as a mother in a corporate world, for me, the biggest thing that I needed, that I didn't really know at the time, was to forgive myself, to forgive myself for needing to work. Because the fact was, I needed to work, because if I didn't work, we would have no money. Sorry, slight cat explosion there. Don't worry about it. But needing to work was not a situation that I was thrilled about. Needing to work was a fact. We needed that financial input into the household to be able to keep a roof over our head. And I know that with my employer, I tried extra hard to do more, be more, because I knew that as a mother, they would be looking at me thinking, oh, well, she's a mum, she's got a young baby, she's going to need lots of time off, she's going to need, sickness days and all of those things. So I found it as a real pressure upon me to make sure that I did those extra things, that even though I had to leave on time, I was working through my lunch break, I was taking work home where I could. And all of those kind of extra things that nobody really realizes. Other people go off to lunch and they go and get their lunch. Me, I'd go and grab some food and then I would go and sit in my office and carry on working. That was my way of making up for what I perceived at that time to be a shortfall. And when my son was sick and I needed to take time off, again, it was the guilt towards, I'm being paid to do a job, I'm not there. Work were great about it. But it wasn't what other people were telling me, it was what I was telling me. So I think for me, that was the biggest lesson looking back, would be to be kinder to me, because it was a very difficult situation, and we got through it, and he didn't suffer for it. And it's it's not about what other people expect from you. It's about what you expect from yourself, and the pressures that you put upon yourself that are maybe way over and above anybody else's expectations of you.
But when we speak about the anxiety part, Jenny, of letting your child at home and you going to the office, how did you manage that anxiety? What tips you have for the young woman who like the same feeling?
I think the tip I would give would be to view it from a positive rather than a negative. If you can, if you can't go as far as a positive, get to a neutral position. Oops.
Somebody come.
There we go. So if if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. If going back to work is what you need to do, that's absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And you don't need to beat yourself up, because there isn't a queue of people waiting to beat you up for being a bad mother because you have to go back to work. You're going to be far harder on yourself than anybody else will be on you.
But what's your opinion about, when is the anxiety bigger? When the child is very young and you know that it has maybe is more dependent of you, when after you stay with the child at home and it's she or he is already grown up, but you have this pastime spent with the child, when is the anxiety stronger? In which case do you consider?
I think it's different every time. I think the level of anxiety remains about the same, but the circumstances are different each time. So when you're handing over a small baby that's defenseless, that you have kept alive for the first however many months of its life, and you hand them over to somebody else to keep alive for you, you have that terrible anxiety of thinking, oh, what's going to happen? They can't tell me if there's anything wrong. What are they going to do? And then they get a little bit older and they start walking around and they start being able to talk, but then they also start to understand that mummy's leaving them there. And then they, so you've got the first guilt from when they're a baby that you can't be there for them. That's where you should be, but you can't be there for them. That's kind of what you're telling yourself. And then as they get a little bit older, a little bit more independent, say toddler age, they are a little bit more independent, but they can tell you what they want and what they don't want. And at that point, you're kind of peeling them off of you to hand them over to somebody else. They're screaming for you whilst they're being carried away, and you're getting in your car in tears because that whole situation is just so traumatic. And again, it's no different to the initial trauma of having to hand them over to somebody else to raise. It's just different. And then as they get older again and they're going to after school club, or they're going to breakfast club at school, or they're going to a childminder or wherever, again, I mean, my son admitted to me once that there was a few times that he'd pretended to be ill just so that he could get a day home with me. That broke my heart. That absolutely broke my heart, that he had to pretend to be sick to get some time with me.
And for your experience, how can we manage these feelings? Maybe if I don't know, I'm not a mother, but if you go to the office and you make some calls during the day, it helps. It's on contrary bad because it affects you more. What is your opinion? What tips do you have for the young mothers?
I would say focus on the moment that you're in. So if you're at work, focus on being at work, focus on that moment, focus on doing the best that you can where you are. I would say it's almost compartmentalizing it. So when you're at work, you think about work stuff, you get your work done, you be as effective and efficient as you can, and then you're being the work person there. Then when you get in your car and you go and pick up the child, then you're the mum, and you be the best mum you can be. And I think for for me, it was about keeping in the moment. And there were times, and I'm not going to regret saying this, there were times when going to work was easier than staying home and looking after the child. Because at the work, it was routine. I knew what to expect. I knew what I was going to be doing. As a mum, I was winging it completely all the way. So, this person was expecting me to keep them alive. And, that's a heck of a responsibility. And sometimes going to work was easier than staying at home. So I have total respect for anybody that stays at home with their children. A very good friend of mine lived next door. Her child, she stayed home for her children. And she would literally, there was a few times when I would pull him onto the drive and she would hand me her son saying, please take him before I kill him. It was so I kind of got both angles, but he didn't appreciate how much she did for him because she was always there. Whereas my son very much appreciated what I did because he appreciated the time that we did get together because there wasn't that much of it.
Okay. So if somebody have question for our parenting expert here, for Jenny, ladies who maybe are mothers or you are planning to be mother in the future and you want some advice about how to handle your work and your baby, please, you can put the question on the chat or you can ask. Just ask, we are listening to you. Okay, I will ask. I am not planning to be a mother in the future, maybe in some 10 years, but I want to know if, let's say you are a mother, you are in a huge position, like an executive position, and you want to go back to work. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, will it be better to take, for example, in Europe, is that 2 years period of maternity? Will be better to have that period with your child, or is better to go right back to work after, I don't know, 1 month or 2 months? What is your opinion on that?
I would personally encourage, if you can take up to 2 years, take as much time as you feel comfortable with, because every person is different. Some people love being a mother. That baby arrives and they absolutely love it. Some people love the child, but don't love all the stuff that goes along with it. The dirty nappies, the being sick, all of the other things. And they are quite happy to hand off. So what I would say is trust yourself and your own gut instinct in terms of how you feel about it. And don't feel guilty whatever you choose to do. Whatever you choose to do is absolutely fine.
So practically do your job and don't worry because the child will not judge you if you do your job, and in the time or when you are at home, you are with the child.
Yes, absolutely.
Somebody else, a question about parenting, about Women Incorporate, want to become mothers? No mothers here tonight? I think we are just only ladies. And right now, if you could put music, what's the melody of Beyonce? Put a ring on it, something like that. All the single ladies. Okay. Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you for sharing your amazing story and your tips. And thank you again that you agreed to be here and to be a speaker.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hopefully in the future we can have a huge panel just about parenting, and maybe we'll have more ladies then, more new mothers who can ask more questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, moving now from being mothers to being women, I would like to ask Mrs. Aparna Mahajan to discuss a little about what we encounter as Women Incorporate, a field still dominated by men, about discrimination, about harassment, and how to overcome this difficult emotional moment for us as women. Aparna?
Yeah. Thank you, Laura. for the introductions earlier. And I would first of all like to wish each and everyone a very happy International Women's Week. As we celebrate the Women's Day and this week, and we talk about women empowerment and gender equality, uh, one of the most important, crucial aspect which is related to women is the gender biased uh, and the gender related issues, basically the discrimination at the workplace and the corporate workspaces. That's what we are going to discuss today in this session. What the gender equality per se, like is something that we all, especially all the women, would want to achieve, but it is really a distant and a far dream or a goal, we can say. Recently, you must have known the UN Women report. It stated that it would take almost 300 years to attain gender equality, to achieve that goal. So this is a stark and a harsh reality, I must say, that all the women are facing in different cultures, different countries. Gender inequality or gender-based discrimination is universal, it's international, and it is a global situation. Various types of discrimination do exist. And one such type is on the harassment, the sexual harassment that we call. Now, about the gender equality, if we talk more, it is more related to the forms of empowerment, I'll say, for the women who would want to have access to the opportunities, to the resources, to the decision-making positions, or on the senior leadership positions. But if they're denied of it due to some kind of harassment or some kind of indifferent attitude, that really hampers their progress. Now, if we talk about different types of, the organizations, including the corporates or the foundations or the trusts, it is prevalent everywhere. But if you look at what is the history, if we delve a little bit deeper into what makes, why is it so? Why gender inequality, difference between male and females, like who created and how it happened? So I was just thinking that, like, in ancient times, we had this, and especially in the rigid patriarchal societies, there were, the role of women was more confined to the household activities. They would not step outside of the home, or they were not expected to earn a livelihood. And they would rather tend to cater to their family, the households, attend to the family matters, that way. They're restricted at home. And but the men would work, they work outside the house, and they would be ultimate breadwinners. What happened? I mean, what made what was the root cause of discrimination, or maybe some kind of status difference or something? Something happened. So probably, I mean, perhaps it leads to thinking that maybe the job which the man was doing was considered to be a superior, or that mindset came that of the financial independence, or something to do with the low esteem of the women, or the hardships she might have been facing, or some misunderstandings that manifested into, leading to gender inequalities or harassment at home, which translated at a societal level. It came to the workplaces. It could be corporates, organizations, or wherever the women stepped out to work. And why women stepped out to work? Because to gain their own self-esteem, or you can say the financial independence, to become self-dependent. So that made them go outside. Now, what is there, like, if the mindset of people, of individuals, the social and cultural conditioning, or the social and cultural barriers I'll call, those norms of different countries or different context and different cultural context would be there. So what happened, like that mindset continued outside the home, whatever treatment was there, which the women had at home, probably that kind of discrimination that manifested, that translated or transpired into the workplaces outside when she stepped out of the home. So probably because, the human behavior, like as we call, like whatever is there at home or in the society level, it would be there in the organizations or wherever you are there, at be it home, at society level, it's a public level, or it's a office or the corporations, organizations, or whatever you call it. So probably that mindset continued, and there were some ego issues. That is what leads us to thinking. So why the gender inequalities, if you look at a little bit of history of it. So now in modern times, when the women have started working, they are trying to achieve perfection at home, their ancient traditional roles, what they used to do, and also at the workplace. They're competing, to achieve success and also to pursue their dreams. So in that, kind of thing, they're very stressed out. Generally, they're very stressed out because they want to achieve, as women, we all want to achieve a lot of perfection, each and every, our home should be good, we should attend to our children, like Jenny just mentioned about, how difficult it is to balance both work and home life. So this extra pressure, the burden on women is there. And then when she goes to the workplace, she gets again, that kind of, behavioral things, aspect, dimension, dynamics work between men and women over there. So this is something which, we need to think about, and how we can, overcome it and all. Now, another aspect I'll give for when we talk about the corporations, organizations where the women work. See, now everyone is educated, skilled workforce we have, and everyone is educated who's working and is capable of earning a livelihood. Harassment should not come in between, because companies, especially corporates who are hiring, organizations, they are sensible people. These kind of attitudes or behavior are undone. They should not be there. But why? But why is it happening? So this is something why, and how why it should not happen there, because all are educated people over there. But again, as I said, the behavior is very different from education. So whatever behavior or mindset you would have have it in the office place. Having said that, there is another dimension to the harassment in the workplace, which I would say, because in many contexts, women, when we talk of harassment, another thing is that it's not male versus female. It could be female versus male. It could be men versus men. It could be women versus women in the office scenario. It happens. But of course, we generally talk about the male versus female, because we're talking about the gender equality and what challenges the women face in the workspace. So that aspect is there. But then, there is an important dimension of office politics, or the professional jealousies, or someone the co-workers trying to pull you down. So those are also one aspect related to it. So how genuine the harassment is, that's another thing to be seen. Of course, there are many situations, like generally, women do face, there are genuine cases, but it can be possible also that they are not very genuine. There could be politics involved. There could be, like I said, professional jealousies, or it could be something to try to pull down. It could be female versus male, that harassment, then we call it. Yeah. So now to mitigate it, of course, there are laws legally mandated sexual, protection, harassment against, act against sexual harassment in different countries, different contexts. In India, for instance, we do have a POSH Act 2013, which is the Prevention of Women Sexual Harassment Act. It is called 2013. And it also had a history behind it, how the act came into being, because this was one famous Vishakha judgment by the Supreme Court of India, like, again, a social female worker who was, who raised her voice, of course, for against the discrimination issues for women. But then that's how, there was a huge outcry on it. And it was a famous Vishaka guidelines, which the government came into being, and then it got enacted, the act came into there. And then this is a mandate, legally mandated for all the organizations now, the companies or the foundations. In that, they do have the internal complaints committee, or you have gender committees, which basically, like, impart gender trainings or counseling, so that, there is the good corporate culture which exists. Yes, of course, if the women do face any harassment, or if there's a case of any kind, they can always lodge a complaint, and then the internal committee, they will resolve. They'll try to resolve that dispute or whatever it is there. So of course, that is one aspect of it, tackling it. But then you also have, at a personal level, at a micro level, as a woman, one who faces this trauma, she can, of course, there are remedial measures, to have to have a peace of mind. They can do the meditation or the relaxation, and many methods are advocated. She can share her story or confide with her peers or the family, or whom she shares a close bond with, so to seek the solutions. So because, see, sexual harassment is something we all know that, it not only damages the physical and mental well-being of a woman, but also it impacts negatively, psychologically and emotionally. Then the dejection stats, the depression, and the woman would consider herself as a very low self-esteem, or some social stigma attached to it. So there can be a lot of negative implications, and health is very important. Like, I would say that women have to be very strong, should be, should have guts to, or that, as I say, she should be thick-skinned to face all these, kind of harassment. So there's, and this is an accepted fact, and if there's someone who's facing this, one should know that this is, universal. This is something which is there, but acceptance does not mean submission. So if one has to raise the voice, she has to raise a voice. She has to see how, the solution, what could be the good solution. And, this is something which I'll say needs a societal change. At a societal level, you need a big change. And that mindset, how to, orient, or how to train or counsel people so that such incidents or such harassment does not happen, that has to be seen. But yeah, there is a problem, but then one has to step up. And as I said, it's very difficult, it's very challenging, these developmental issues, I'll put it that way, that how to handle. But yeah, there are solutions to it. And the women have to be strong, they have to be confident enough to overcome that. And that's how. Yeah.
Aparna, but regarding this discrimination coming from the male side, how important is for women to be together and to support each other when such a situation happens? How important is to know that you have in office colleagues who will be behind you and who will support you and who will help you pass over the trauma, in your opinion, of course?
I think, see, so this, you rightly said about the support of other women. The concept, I call it concept of sisterhood. So this is very important, because when there is a collective voice or a collective kind of a support which she can garner, that helps a lot. She not only gives her a mental strength, but also she would emerge more stronger, and she can get the solutions, how to go about it. And it is all a mental makeup of also an individual. Some would like to fight it out. They would not, it won't matter for them if they can go to any level or stoop to any level, fighting that case out. But there are individuals who, would not, want to have, who want peace of mind, and they cannot fight. So what do they do? So they have to either they overcome it, just come above it, come above those issues, just don't bother, or they call quits. They feel that, okay, I'm not happy with this organization, or the culture is bad, so I would move on if I have another good opportunity. See, because it's also said that people don't leave jobs, but they leave toxic cultures, toxic office culture, corporate cultures, or office cultures. This is a famous saying. So it depends from individual to individual how much one can take, what would be the extent of it. And of course, the seeking support of the peers, the colleagues, the female colleagues, is very important, whom you share a good bond with, who would provide you good, advice, and whom you trust, and you can confide in them, because not many women might like to share it openly, or it depends. And some would like to share their story, some would like to have a set of close friends or women whom they can share with. So then solutions can come up, they can guide the woman, how to manage, and how to kind of tackle that situation in which they are in.
I have seen somebody have a question, please. Can you put it on the chat and verbally?
Can I say something, please?
Please,
Yeah.
Simona. You always can say something, always. We are Italian. You need to say something.
I don't know if I have to take it on the good way or on the bad way, but by the way, Dr. Aparna, thank you so much for this amazing speech that you have done. It was really very, very beautiful to me. And I would like, if I can, to reconnect just to what Laura told you in your reply, because my question was, don't you think that if inside the corporation, but not only in corporation, women could be grouping more together, have more complicity, be more supportive, more protective between themselves, this kind of gender gap could be, I'm not saying just disappearing, but just reducing time by time, because it's like the concept of the group in the bad way. So the more people you have together, and the more the group is becoming stronger. So the more women can stay together, close together, and fight for the same things, even inside the corporate, everything should be, much better in some point. What do you think?
Very true, very true, very true. Because see, the more together you are, the more together you will have the strength to fight and to be together. So you're absolutely correct. Yes, we do see when it was being spoken about the corporate setting. So I just felt that about the women in the corporate sector, your colleagues or whom you share bond. But yeah, of course, you have to vent it out. With your own family, maybe your mother or your siblings or your friends, or the women, like we have forums, we have platforms where they the women could come together and share the stories and have a bond and see how they can be together. See, I would commend the West for the women's movement, women's liberation. It's very famous. So I think universally the women were facing a lot of challenges and discrimination around the world. And all this independence and all this strength, I think, has come from many of the Western countries. You have that famous women liberation movement, which happened, So
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And now also we are a movement, we are a network. So I think, yeah, it's very important. And that's how the foundation of the Women's Day happened. We know the history of it, how it was a movement. It was a movement of the women. So I think that's very important. Yeah, you need to have women, other women, and sharing your, and you have a problem, you will also know the solutions to it.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Aparna. Thank you.
Our dear Emma Garcia, do you have a question? You can put it verbally or you can write it here.
You can ask the question.
Hello, everyone. Aparna, thank you so much for your words. I know that we have to make a change.
Yeah.
And I know that as women, we have to be together and we have to strengthen all of us. But I think that it is not about making teams, the girls' teams and the guys' teams. I think it's about making a big team, women and men, right? The way I'm trying to make a change because I know that I have to make something. I have 2 girls and I have 2 boys. I have 4 kids. The 2 girls, they are amazing and I'm worried about them because they are women. The 2 boys is the ones that I want to talk about because the way that I'm trying to make a change is raising good men. We cannot make a change with screaming, destroying, and raising our hand. We have to take actions. And the way to take an action is by raising good men. We have to teach them the importance of respect to the women. We have to teach them how to strengthen their women. We have to teach them how to love women. And as women, we have to make that thing to raise good men. So if the problem right now is because of the lack of education of the past generations. That is the reason why we are fighting today. So if we start by educating good men at home, we're not going to have these problems that we have today in the tomorrow day, you know? So that is what I want.
Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree. You know, a lot of points, lot of ideas, you know, actually were there. You know, I because of time limitation, I did not touch on this. I absolutely agree with you. And, you know, that is I think you have hit the nail, because that's you know, as women, it's a responsibility of every woman to, you know, raise their kids, you know, in a way that they feel they have a gender respect. Gender respect is very important. It is mutually inclusive. And any discussion, see, today we're talking about gender inequality or equality. Why? Because there's something male versus female, and there's something like superiority and inferiority, right? And when we are scared of the girls, we are not scared bothered about boys. And you rightly said, our previous generations, ancestors, they had it that way, you know, but they were, I don't think they are to be blamed, because this is the conditioning, as I said, ancient ages, like, you know, this has happened over years, over decades, over centuries. It's not a new thing. So that's how the struggle has come from times immemorial, I'll say. So I think now it is a big time that, you know, since it's all step by step, we are sensitized, the movements have come and all that, but now it's very important for the women to take the bull by the horns, and they raise their children, train their boys that they have to respect women, they have to love, they have to, you know, understanding is very important.
As women, we have the blessing of giving life, of bringing children. And we cannot expect men to respect us or women to respect us if we don't raise them with respect and teaching them the importance of giving us love, respect, and strength. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Aparna, so much for your words.
No, you spoken. I mean, you really, you know, what I had, like, you know, I always say about this, what you spoke, you know, that this is, I really love you, because, you know, this is something very important, and all women should do it. I do not know how far the women are doing, because, and also men have to be supportive. I say any dialogue on gender equality is incomplete without participation of men. Because until unless they're supportive, you know, we cannot have an enabling and supporting environment for women. We need safe places. We need safe, secure places for women, both, you know, at everywhere, at home, in public, in society level, in organizations, in the corporates, everywhere we need enabling and secure environment. And who, I mean, this is with the men. So women themselves collecting together, like as you said, like, crying. See, these are not the solutions for it. These are not the solutions. The solution is something you have to get the men on board and make them, I mean, of course, they understand, and they would support and all, and there has to be some, kind of a gender respect or whatever, like, a good dynamics between them, and that will help shape the future generations also. Because our boys will be groomed. They will see their fathers, the respecting mother, and, having the gender equal treatment. So, and the boys will learn from the fathers. So that's how I think this generation, it's a responsibility of women, it's a responsibility of men, both, as a society, that how to, have a good treatment and behavior towards women.
And
Aparna,
Aparna, oh, sorry, Laura, I just wanted to say something quick. Should I, or?
please.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I really love this conversation because so before I started my own company, my social media consultancy, I worked in corporate for 12 years. And it was always in very male-dominated industries, especially banking in the US, in France, in the Netherlands, Turkey, UK. So I got to experience it and it was always like global projects, and most of the time I was the only woman. And but let me tell you, except for one single time in all those 12 years, I had nothing but help from men. And a lot of times when it was just, there would be like one other woman and she would be the one who would really try to backstab me. So I'm not saying all women do that, by no means, but I'm saying I love that you said it's not about gender, it's really about your attitude. If you have that scarcity mindset, like, oh my God, that person's competition, you act in the wrong way. But if you think, we all have the same purpose here, we want to make our lives and everyone else's life a lot better, this is collaboration, and you come at it from that point of view, trust me, men are there for you as well, because they really are raised more to be providers. So yeah, I love it that you also mentioned that, like, sometimes the way women act at the workplace doesn't get the best out of men. And if we just if both sexes learn how the other one operates, how they think, because we really come from two different planets, we can really make our lives so much easier for all of us.
Very right, very correct. Yeah, I know. I can understand fully when you said the women backstabbing women, and you get help from and yeah, true, very true. I mean, this happens, like, and that's why I told, in office, when you have the sexual harassment at workplace, see, that's very thin line over there. There could be office politics, there could be, professional jealousies. That's what, like, and also said women versus women. When you have sexual harassment, it's not necessary men versus women. It can be women versus women. It can be men versus men, men versus women, women versus men. It's always through all the ways, like, and of course I agree with you, like, these are very, and the beauty is how you decipher what is a genuine case. That's why I said, what is a genuine case and what is a fake or a false case. You will know if sometimes in different cultures you have open cultures where you have men and women going together, right? I mean, it's okay, it's very healthy, and I mean, you learn from each other, you understand. But then sometimes it is expected, like, generally some favors in return for some benefits you have. If you're going around with someone, okay, you get a promotion, or you get an increment, or you get something, confirmation of employment, or you get a top position. Those are also dynamics in place. But if you do not get in return of what you're going around, but then you might have an accusation that this is a harassment somewhere, like some sexual harassment has happened, which might not be the case. So far as when you were getting the favors, it was okay, but the moment the favor stopped, you can accuse that the person the person misused you. So somewhere I feel at workplace, in corporates, we're all very well educated people. They would not go like that. Then what is happening? There would be there's politics, and there could be the jealousies or backstabbing, as you mentioned. Those things also happen. You're very right.
Aparna, we will take one last question.
Yeah.
And I will read it to you. How
Okay.
could women tackle the powerful religion people to treat women with respect? This is quite a tricky question because it's about religion. So how can women determine the religious people of this world to treat women with respect and to treat women equally? I will put in addition.
No, I couldn't understand. Religious means what? I mean, religion and gender?
Religion like Christianity, like Hinduism, like other religion, like Muslim. How can women determine these chiefs of religion to impose some rules about respecting women and about giving women equal treatment with men?
See, this is, of course, a very tough thing. But of course, see, first of all, I'll say when we talk about women or a gender, first of all, what are we? Men, women, there's another gender also. So what are we? We are human beings. First of all, we are human beings. And when we talk of rights or anything, see, it's a kind of a human right. When we call about women's rights, it's also a human right. And I'm not talking very technically on human rights, but it's more of as a human being, as a humanity. First of all, you see, we all are human beings. So and everyone is equal. God, I mean, again, if we talk of the religion, then we say God or spiritually, whomever we follow, whatever faith we follow. So that supreme power, the Lord, will not say that you have to discriminate among people. Everyone is his creation, right? From an insect, or from you can say any I mean, his creation. We know the nature, we know the flora, fauna, we know the oceans, we know the creatures which are living in the ocean, which are on the land. Human being is one part of it, of course. And how do we treat them? No, we also say about the resources, natural resources that we degrade, and this is the human being that we should not do it. We should preserve the environment. We should conserve our forest or whatever. We have to protect the nature. We have to protect this earth. When we look at that sphere and we talk about so many issues, these are people. Women are people, right? So any religious, I don't think any religious leader or whatever, they should have any objection on this, because if they are really following the supreme God and they believe in that power, they should kind of first of all think that women are human beings and they have to be respected. Women means everyone. I'll say women, I mean everyone, any gender, be it everyone. You have to respect universally. No one is supreme over here. No one is going to live a very long life. Everyone has a limited time on earth. I mean, what is the longevity? 100 years you will live. This planet, the creatures, the Lord creation is always there. It has existed million years ago. It will exist million or how many years after us. We are not here to live permanently. No one. As human being, whether you talk about religious leader or you talk about other politics or whatever. I'm not saying, but at the first we are all human beings. So we, in our journey here, we need to see that everyone is respected. Everyone has a space. we coexist, be it animals or the creatures. I'm talking about the nature in everything. So as women are, I mean, equal. I mean, they are the partners. The whole civilization, they say that a woman, bears the children. You have children. Who bears the children? Women are bearing the children. So aren't they part of it? And 50% of the population on earth is, almost 50% on earth is women. And if women are not equal partners, no country, no one can prosper. No country can prosper if the women are not an equal partner. There has to be an equal contribution. It has to be equal. Equal, I mean, of course, respect, mutual respect, as I said, it should be across genders, it should be across creatures, it should be for every, I mean, as I said, like, if you really have faith, you believe in God, or you believe in whatever faith you're following, whatever faith, this is no conflict over there. You believe in someone, you trust someone, it's good. You follow that. Ultimate achievement is that you have to, you're believing in God, He's your creator. So would you like to displease your creator? I mean, I don't think so. Any person should do that or would do that sensibly.
On the goddess Inanna stone in the matriarchy period, it was written, the mothers and the woman are the humanity. Thank you so much for your presentation, Aparna. Thank you so much for your words, for your knowledge. We'll let you, if you can stay with us, I will be very honored, but I know it's quite late in India and I don't want to make you tomorrow to be tired. So we will pass to the other speaker. Again, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Laura. My pleasure. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.
Remaining in this context of the difficulties faced by women in predominantly male environments, I will invite Mrs. Yasim Saidan to talk to us about the women who decide to take the path of entrepreneurship and about the fears that come with this step, which may be the reason for the fact that the number of women entrepreneurs have not yet reached the same level of representations as the male part. So, Yasim, you have the audience to your feet, my dear.
Hi, Laura. Thank you. Would you like to ask me some questions, or should I just give an overview as to why the women are not taking the leap? And yep, okay. So let me start by saying that I hope everyone is really aware that now with the latest developments in artificial intelligence, with, now us having ChatGPT and a lot of other apps based on AI for free, this means that every single person needs to own their own destiny at work. Because if you don't do so, you are very easily replaceable. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way, the negative way, because yes, a lot of jobs are going to be redundant this year, and in the next, let's say 5-10 years, a lot more, except if you take your destiny in your own hands and you start building your personal brand. And trust me, that's really not that difficult. So I'd like to talk about the importance of building your personal brand, and then we can talk about starting your own company. Because I see women getting challenged for both of those for the same reasons. So, and again, personal development, creating your personal brand is absolutely necessary, even if you work in corporate and you want to continue working in corporate, right? But that's, having your personal brand is gonna help you secure your job. Actually, it's gonna help you get a lot of other career opportunities from other companies. It's gonna also help you get invited to, speak at conferences, events like this one, help you get book deals, a lot of different things. And let me tell you, once you get a taste of starting to build your personal brand, you cannot help yourself, but also start your company. Because that's the ultimate freedom, right? The freedom of, owning your own time, deciding when you're going to work, deciding where you're going to work from, as well as, which type of clients you work with, what you want to do. So, so the 3 reasons, Laura, what I see over and over again, women struggle with starting their own company, their business, I should say, is firstly, it's emotional reasons. So we women, we are a lot more emotional. So, so let me ask you, so with raise of hands, how many of you wanted to start your company, but you thought about it, and then immediately all the what ifs came to your mind? So could you please put it in the chat if that's you, or raise your hand so we can see how many of you went through that?
Can I raise my hand first?
Yes, I was thinking of you. You messaged me. Okay, Nancy is, her message is too long to see here. She's asking a question.
She wanted your information. We'll put next, Nancy, after Yasim is finished with her presentation. Please continue.
Okay, yes, sure. And yeah, if you search my name, Yeşim Saydan on LinkedIn, I'm gonna come up. I will come up on all the platforms. But basically, so the first reason is, and I really hope I have everyone's attention so I can help all of you have a breakthrough here, is that, so yes, our mind typically goes to all the what ifs and the negatives, right? Because our brain is here to protect us. Our brain is very, very old. It's made for survival. Whenever we want to start a new business, just basically anything we don't know, our brain is like, oh, is this safe for us? We don't know, so it's going to intervene. So I want you to control your mind, and I want you to realize that there is a big difference between fear and anxiety. So a lot of times women will say, and trust me, I did the same. I would be like, hey, I'm afraid this is not going to work out. But then I catch myself, because I learned that actually fear is something, this negative feeling we have when there is a real danger. So let's say I'm swimming, in the ocean or in the sea, and there's a shark. So yes, I should be afraid because there is a real danger. But, like thinking of starting your own business, there are so many different possibilities you can do, and you can absolutely do that while you are still in corporate, which is what I always recommend. So then you really don't have a downside. You just have an upside. So really what you're experiencing, those negative feelings, is not fear, because you did not fail. Nothing bad happened. It's anxiety, which is the negative feeling you experience over something you imagined. It's completely our imagination of a negative outcome in the future. And my mentor told me once, the biggest asset all of us have is expectation about our future. And whether you're thinking, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? Or you're thinking, wow, this can be amazing. You know what? Both of those are imagined. None of it is reality. And since you're imagining it, do you not want to imagine something positive? Something that's going to give you the motivation to go for it, right? Because what did Henry Ford say? Whether you believe it, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Because we always prove ourselves right. So that's the one thing that I wanted to say. So have a positive expectation of the future, and you're gonna take calculated risks. You're not gonna like quit your job today without having any plans as to how to do a business tomorrow. The second thing is, as women, we love to learn, which is really great, but sometimes we take it a little bit too far, and we, you know, like at this age of so much information, also there is, you could spend 100 years learning new things. Like in my case, I'm a social media strategist. On social media, things change so quickly. If I told myself I have to learn everything about all the social media platforms before I get a single client, which, trust me, this is how I started, and that's how I got in my own way. So I'm telling you the mistakes I did. So hopefully it can help some of you. You know, guess what was happening when I was there? I was freezing. I was like, no, I'm not ready. I need to learn more. So I would, you know, get this other mentor, get this other coaching, I don't know, like learn more. And then I would be like, yes, now I can start. And oh my God, this thing changed. Do I know it perfectly? No. And then I just finally realized, you know what? Especially in the social media field where I am, you can never be perfect because things keep on changing. So, and you're not going to be teaching someone who is, you know, who is 10 steps ahead of you. You are always teaching people. So with your business, you are also helping people who are 1 or 2 steps behind you. So you really don't need to know it perfect. You just need to know it a little bit better than they do. So when you have this mentality, again, what it helps you do is then you're not stuck in this continuous, constant learning loops, because there really is, like, whichever business you want to get into, the learning will never stop. You'll see you always have to learn. But if you're gonna wait till you know everything 100%, you'll never get there and you'll never start. And that's the difference between men and women, because men have more of a hunter mentality. So they say, I don't know, I do not know how to start this. I'm aware of it, but you know what? Let me start and see how it happens. So yeah, so that's the one thing I wanted to say. Start before you are ready. And the last thing I want to say is, everybody needs a mentor. I think mentorship is extremely valuable, especially when you're starting your business, because then you really don't need to worry about knowing even anything. Right? Like if you pick the right mentor, meaning somebody who has been in your shoes and they were able to get the results that you want for yourself, that person can take you by the hand. They can help you save decades, you know, just so years of time, a lot of frustration, because trying to figure things out on your own is very frustrating. And they even save you a lot of money. And it took me really a long time to realize this, because I thought, hey, when you spend money to work with a mentor, with a coach, you're spending money. But you know what? Every single month that you are not making that income that you want, that maybe additional income from your business while you are working in corporate. And let's say, like, let's have a conservative amount. Let's say it's only $20,000 a month. You know, every single month, you're not working with a mentor and not making the $20,000 a month additional to your corporate income. You are missing out on that income. And guess what? If it's 20,000 a month, at the end of the year, it's 240,000. If it were 50,000 a month that you want to make with your business, which I'm telling you for everyone that's so possible, now you missed out on the opportunity to make $600,000 a year. And the only thing, again, like just to summarize, the only reason you're not having that income and that lifestyle where you can work from anywhere, you know, like, and balancing your like work life, private life, you know, being able to make more time for your kids, or like in my case, taking care of my older parents with serious health challenges. The only reason I can do that, and I can be on even 2 countries at the same time, which is the US and Europe. So I can literally even make work between continents. The only reason I can do that is because at some point I told myself, you know what, you learned enough. Now it's time to go and implement it. That was one. So action, not getting stuck in the learning curve. Secondly, I learned the difference between anxiety and fear. So I read this book that said, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I made this into my lifestyle. And thirdly, I learned the importance of having great mentors, and I paid them to get coached by them so that I'm not gonna have to learn everything by, you know, trial and error. So I can learn from their experience, and I can have them guide me so I can get to the outcome, to the kind of life I wanted to live a lot sooner. So I hope this helps, Laura, and everyone here.
Yes, we have a question for you, for somebody. Okay. How or where do you even get a mentor?
Oh, so I am a mentor. We all, you know, let me ask you this way. Every single person that you meet in your life is a mentor. You know, it depends on what you are trying to accomplish. You know, so let's say if you are, I would be a good mentor for someone who wants to start their own business or build their personal brand using social media strategically and creatively, because the way you're going to build your personal brand, or if you start your company, the way you're going to get a lot of high quality clients, leads, is going to be from social media. So if someone wants to accomplish that, then I would be a good mentor. If you want, yes, somebody was saying a person you can trust, yes, and you need to also, the way I would say you would define if you can trust this person is you need to look into their past and you need to see what did they accomplish for themselves and which kind of results did they get for other clients. Because if they were able to, if they were in your shoes and they were able to get the outcome, you know, the result you want for yourself, and if they could also do that for their clients, it means that they have a system, they have a repeatable system that's proven. So then if you work with them, you will have access to that system, as well as the accountability and support, which I believe are even more important. So then you can make it too. Because trust me, nothing in this world is rocket science. You can learn every single thing. But then again, as I said, like the very first thing is you need to first define what is the outcome that you want to accomplish. Because if somebody wanted to learn, how do I balance my work life, you know, how do I define a work-life balance while I am in corporate? and you came to me as a mentor, I would tell you, I'm sorry, I cannot help you because I'm not a mom. I would not be a good mentor for that outcome. So it's very important that you really define, first of all, where am I and what is it that I want to accomplish? That's very important. And then you go and look at people who have, accomplished this goal, and not just for themselves, but also for clients. So then you're like, okay, now I know they have a repeatable system. And then go watch, follow them for a bit, like get a feeling, maybe like an interview like this, or, other things, because sometimes the energies don't match. So yeah, so those are the things that I would say. I hope that clarifies it. And if it doesn't, please feel free to write it in the chat so I can address your question exactly.
So somebody else have a question for our mentor here about entrepreneurship, about passing from corporate to entrepreneurship. Somebody else? Nobody. Today audience is like me. Oh, somebody, please.
Yes, Laura, thank you. Yes, I
Please.
just want to thank you because the words that you said at the first of your speech really touched me. And I've been thinking about starting my own business because right now at work, I don't have much time to do what I want to do. So I really need to start something to make myself time to do everything and to have time for my family. And this is the most important thing that I take from your speech is fear is imagination. And that is amazing, really. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jessim. And I take all your words and I'm leaving this this meeting with a lot of strength from all of the speakers in their meeting. Thank you, Jessim.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you shared this, Emma. And like seriously, know that nothing is rocket science. Seriously, zero thing. Even if you wanted to, and I don't know, probably if you wanted to learn how to build a rocket, we could also learn that, right? We need to decide. Then we're gonna look, okay, where can I learn this information, right? So then you're gonna decide you're gonna go to engineering school and then probably masters, things like this. But then, and then you're gonna, the third thing is you're gonna start to practice and you're gonna get there. So, so yeah, everyone. And I mean, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, that's really the place where I share most of the information. I do some complimentary workshops and stuff like that as well. So yeah, because I really want to make sure that like other women and men are not, yeah, just if I can just help even one more person to get inspired and, start their journey, I'll consider myself successful.
Yes, Sim, another question. Could a mentor be useful in case I do not know what I want to achieve?
Well, yes, absolutely, but I need a little bit more clarity on that. Is this somebody who never worked? Is it somebody who's in corporate? So is the question, maybe if they can clarify the question and say, so do you already know you want to leave your corporate and you want to start your business, but you don't know which type of business you need to go into? Or are you just saying I'm lost in life and I don't know what my purpose is, kind of question, in which case maybe a life coach would be a better fit. If you can please expand on that question. But I'm gonna encourage all of you that that those are very, very important questions. So if in case the question was, I don't know what to do with my life, you know what, you can hire a life coach and you can talk with them and they may make some suggestions, but you are the one who knows yourself the best. So why would you want to leave this very important question to someone else instead of making that question a priority and spending time on it? Like, again, my mentor had said, and I thought, like, before I tell you this, let me tell you, I really thought this doesn't make sense what he's saying. And then I realized even I make that mistake, though I think I spend a lot of time thinking. He said, the reason most people are not paid a lot is because they don't want to spend time thinking about the most important things. They spend a lot of time thinking about a lot of like little things. Maybe, I don't know, why did this person say this to me, or just some at the grocery store. But then none of us spends enough time thinking, what do I want from my life? I don't know how many of you know this rocky chair example. And let me share with you if you don't know it. I think it was, I don't know if it was Dean Graziosi or Tony Robbins who said it, but basically, imagine yourself and you're 85 years old and you're in this rocky chair, right? Like, it's really your last days. What needs to have happened in your life until that moment that you're going to feel like my life was worth living? And ask yourself this, are you really going to be like, oh, shoot, I started this business, it didn't work. Are you going to like think about that? Because guess what? If you started a business, it didn't work, you could go back to corporate. You're going to start another business. You're going to learn and go, you're going to succeed. But what if you're 85, 90 years old and you're like, oh, you know what? I hated working in corporate, but I never had never had the guts to start my business. Or you know what? I always wanted to, I always wanted to ask this woman or this man out, and I never did. So I've been single my whole life. Or, maybe I wanted to travel the world, and I was always afraid. Like, because they always say, the regrets hits you a lot more than failure, So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Esim, for this presentation. This is a very, very long subject, and certainly we need to have a different panel with you and to have all these questions and all this mentor problem. And I thank you so much for your participation tonight. If you ask me, you convince me. At some point, I will be an entrepreneur, but first I need to do something. So thank you again. I invite you to stay with us in the continue of this discussion. And maybe at the end, if somebody can think another question, you can take it. We can put you in a separate room, and there you can answer to all they want to know, and especially about mentorship. Thank you again.
Thank you, Laura. And let me just say one last thing. So I think a lot of people, when they think of starting their business, they're thinking about the old model, which was that, you literally needed to start a physical business. So that took a lot more time and effort and capital, right? Right now, we live in a digital world. There are so many opportunities for everyone. And the advantage of those is that you don't need to, except for the investment you need to make in a mentor, which I absolutely recommend, you don't need anything else. you really do not need a lot of time either. So do not think that I have to first quit my corporate job and then I can start entrepreneurship. No, I actually very strongly advise against that, because you know what? Maybe you're not even gonna like entrepreneurship. So again, that's another reason why I suggest to work with a mentor, because then, you know, talking with you, seeing what you want to accomplish, they can tell you, okay, so these are the few business models that I believe would be the best fit for you. And I absolutely recommend that you do that while you are at your corporate job, because that way you still have your income from your corporate job. So you're not gonna panic, you know, that there is no stable income coming, which is a big thing for us women. Let me tell you that. So start while you're in corporate and start getting ready. And then when you're gonna feel like, now I know I can fly, that's when you're gonna leave your job. So yeah. So don't think that you need a lot of time or whatever to start your business. You really don't.
Thank you so much, Asim. Now we speak about fears, about obstacles, about problems, and we need to discuss about the balance between professional life and about private life. So I will invite Lucia to have her speech about this part. Lucia is a coach, and somebody asked in the chat about coaching, about balance of private and professional life. So Lucia, please, the stage is yours. Do your magic.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for inviting me, Laura. It was really lovely to hear ideas, challenges, and to see life from different perspectives. When we talk about work-life balance, a lot of us talk about that, and it makes sense to use this term because for many people, it is a challenge, and we are thinking of it as a balance. I see it more as life is an ecosystem, and work is just part of it. Personal life is part of it, and then all the other parts, like our health and all the other, are just elements. If one of them is not working right, all the other elements are affected, some more than others. And when we talk about work, just let's imagine, or we separate work from personal life, and we have a challenge at work. Try to remember when you had that, and remember how, if that impacted your personal life, if you caught yourself thinking when you were at home with your family or having dinner or being with friends, you are thinking of what was going on at work, and the other way around, if you had something going on in your personal life and it was quite a big deal, and then you were at work and you caught yourself, you are doing something, maybe reading an email or trying to reply to an email, and you are like remembering part of a discussion or like a challenge, like what am I going to do with this? Did this ever happen to you? And if it did, that's okay. This is being human. And this is why we don't need to, but it's more helpful to look at things as a whole. And I know, Laura, we talked about this for a bit, and it was also, we talked about like, is there a recipe for it? It's more a fluid thing. It's something that changes sometimes from one day to the other times from 1 week to the other, 1 month to the other, 1 year to the other, because we do have these situations when we are going through different stages in life. For example, let's, as Jenny was talking about, becoming a mother. When we have that, being pregnant, it's another challenge. And then we give birth, and then we have to come back to work. Obviously, in these kind of situations, the personal life needs more time. Then you have the other situation, and obviously there are more examples here, We are getting married. We need to get ready for the wedding. We need to prepare the wedding. This is a joyful event, but at the same time, it takes time and energy and attention. And then you have, on the other hand, you are at work. It's a great opportunity to be promoted, which means you need to get ready. You need maybe more time to spend more time getting ready. Maybe you talk to your manager and they say you need to learn something new. You need a new skill. Or you get the promotion and then you need to get used to the new role. It may take more time. It may to adjust. It may take time to create a routine that works. All those things are different, and life is, we imagine life is like straight line, and then we find out that's going up and down all the time, like a heartbeat. And I find the heartbeat the best example for the way life is. If our heart is beating like that, then why do we expect life to go flat? Flat means death. So life is going up and down and learning from it and updating. And it is also a joy. It's more about the mindset that we have. If we look at it, like, it has to be balanced. I always have to have half and half, or I decide I spend this time in my life, I'm single, so I can spend 70% of my time at work and then 30% waking time, or 30% in my personal life. Is that really you? Is that really me? How is that impacting me? Will I regret later? So these are more the questions that we need to ask ourselves, and then identify what works for us. And as somebody said, like, talking about life, about a coach and a mentor, it's great to have someone on our side with that and get the right, not necessarily the answers, but the questions. Good questions will help us get the good answers for ourselves. I don't know if you have questions. If you do, that would be amazing.
Okay, so question for Lucia here verbally or on chat, please. Okay, nobody have a question about work balance? I have one. It's not a problem. Is there a general categorical receipt to balance the career private life ratio, or because each individual is different, we need different plans, Lucia?
I would go with celebrating our uniqueness and our stage in life as well. Everything starts with awareness and accepting the truth. And also seeing ourselves as not necessarily what we are today and where we are today, but also at what we want to become, where we want to be. And from that place, start building. There are a few elements that are important for every single person. So there are a few elements that I would say they are valid for everyone. For example, become aware of the important elements in our lives. For example, health, that's important. If we are not healthy, that's going to affect everything else. Then we need a job. If we don't have a job, then we are not going to be able to pay the bills. If we are not happy at work, so we need a job that we feel happy at, or at least content, if not happy. Because if we don't have that, that's going to affect our emotional health, our mental health, and so on, and eventually our physical health. Then a personal life. How many people do we want to have in our lives? As friends, do we want to get married? If we are married, do we want to have a good relationship with our spouse? That means time as well. If we have children, also time. So all these elements need to be considered. And also there is one part that most women forget about, and that is my well-being. You know, the example with the cup, if you have nothing in the cup, you cannot share it with anyone. You just give them an empty cup. There is no tea inside or coffee, what you prefer. So we need to pour in our cup. And that is another element that I would, if there is one thing that you are going to keep from this, that is make sure your cup is full. Sometimes it's not going, doesn't have to be always full completely, but it has to be something in your cup. And the mental, emotional, and physical health are so, so important.
Lucia, I have a last question for you because I see the audience is very interesting, but do not put question. I don't know why. When do you know that we need a coach? When is the moment when we need to realize that we need a coach to help us with this balance between private life and work life?
It depends a lot on our goal. If we want to be ahead, I would always recommend somebody to help us. A coach, psychotherapist, a mentor, consultant, counselor, and so on. It depends on what is our need. Always support from the outside is welcome. What a coach does is helping the person realize where they are and the truth. That's another thing, the truth. Not where we imagine we are, but where we really are. And then where we want to go and how to close that gap in a way that is authentic. Not in a way like somebody is writing a recipe for us, is handing it to us, and then we're like, oh, you give me, let's say, meat pie, but I'm a vegetarian, and things like that. So it has to be our own path, but supported by somebody who is a specialist, who knows how to listen, who knows what kind of questions to ask, who knows how to notice some patterns that are no longer helpful and how to address those.
Thank you so much, Lucia, and thank you for your advices. And you find Lucia also on LinkedIn. If you need a coach, she's there to help you. I want now to wish her a good morning because we will speak with Mrs. Katarzyna Doros, and she is in United States, and it's morning at her. Hello, Katarzyna, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate for this invitation. And thank you, Adela. You helped me a lot because I have next meeting. Yes,
Ms. Doros is an international speaker and trainer in business relations, also a diplomatic protocol and etiquette expert and a motivational speaker. And at this event, she will speak with us about another expertise she had, and namely the stress management one. So I will let her do her magic. Please, Kasia, the stage is yours now.
Thank you. The topic which I have is the transition out of the corporate and returning to work after a break period. And I work in corporation 20 years, 25. Yes, 25. And I love my job, but also I have the stress. I have the child, I have son. Sometimes child is sick and staying home, and our colleague just Jenny talking about this. And the only thing we can buy is the time. And no matter how much money we had, you don't buy a relationship with your husband and children and friends. So in life, we make many decisions in our corporation life. We work quickly and effectively, and then faster and faster. We want to get a better position in work, earn more money, and have a bigger house, bigger car, etc., etc. This is like snowball sometimes. We pay for all this working beyond our physical and mental capabilities. Who want this? Raise your hands who have this experience. Yes, thank you. And there come a time like COVID that make us realize that we can work from home. We can work with our child by your side and husband in the kitchen. And do you feel, or have you ever felt that you have burnout? Don't you want to get up in the morning? You don't like the boss and you work that bring you satisfaction. This look like sometimes we want to change the jobs, but right now, what's next? Sometimes the change the job, it's impossible because we are not ready to make the next step. And what I doing and sometimes the financial status we drop and we don't have this possibility to take this decision. And we are sure that we want this? No, because we want to feel the satisfaction. And what I doing in the similar situation? I started looking for trainings that show me how to deal with stress, how to manage time and planning everything, not only at work time, but also in my private life. As you know, love and work go hand in hand. So finding a balance in life equals creating work comfort, love and work, or finding a balance between private and professional life. This is the best solution in our life. Well, planned work means devoting 10 minutes every evening and next day, and we have more time, like we save a few hours a day. And also the delegate task at work and using the talented colleagues, and in home delegate task for children and husbands. Husband, one, sorry, not plural. Planning a vacation every 3 months will help you regenerate your health and happy to come back to work. Vacation, I mean short vacation. For example, free Friday, free Monday. We have 4 days. And believe me, this helps you a lot. But most of all, I recommended failing in love with your work. What this mean? Let you work with passion. When you love what you're doing, you don't feel that you're working. Work should not waste your energy in 100%. And it's a mistake to give all your energy to work. You need to give like 90%, 80%, but 20% save when you come back to your home. Feel that thanks to this job in a corporation, you have not only money every month, but also satisfaction. This is the perfection life. I learned this, then the money what I make in corporation bring me to my high level life. The whole team expression what you do because you excuse such positive energy. And your energy, can you believe when you come to work, your energy, it's spread to everybody. We just don't imagine that our brain is connected with our heart. And the positive energy in the room where we are makes like 2-3 meters. What's this mean? If you hate your job, your boss feel this. If you are with love with your job, your boss also feel this. You need to change your brain. I know it's not easy. This makes me a couple of years. I work in newspaper and I work in radio and TV. And anytime I come to my job, I need to look the best. I need to smile because maybe I will be fired. This makes me a couple years to feel that my job give me money. I have nice money, but sometimes I don't have time to go for shopping. And this is the truth. But I make money from my child education and I support my family. First, change your attitude towards work, a positive one. Second, fall in love with your work and let what you do make sense to you. And you will see how much energy it's left in you if you don't like this job. Third, don't give all your energy to work. Fourth, learn to plan work and dedicate tasks. Fifth, enjoy the money what you earn and your gratitude to your employee and your boss. This is the learning for all of us. If we show him or her, then we like the job and we are grateful, then we make this money. You see next day how your relation with your boss will be changed immediately. Write down to you learn in this job. How important is your position? Because sometimes we go work and we are like machine. We go work, we don't like this job, but maybe it's time to thinking how much I learn. And if you want to change your job, just take the paper page and write how much you learn. Because if you want to open your company, you need to be prepared. Now I own my 3 companies and I am very lucky. But without this position when I am before, I never ever will be learn the discipline. I never learn how to work with stress management. I never know how to planning my life. This don't teach us in the school. I am from Europe, from Poland, and in this time when I am in school, even in university, don't teach us how to management time, stress level, etc. And also, you will see how a large organization is managed. You will gain knowledge of the labor market, and you will become an expert in your fight. You will stop being afraid to yourself, and your self-esteem will increase. I also, when I listening the speakers, I write something. Then in our companies, very important is ethic in work. We just talking about ethic in home. We talking about diplomacy ethic, but maybe it's time to thinking how we put the ethic in our work, because we are the workers. We have the knowledge and we have the power to talk with our boss, with CEO, and just wrote him 10, 20 points, our ethic proposals. And for all women, because it's International Women Day, please always be independent. Independent means healthy. You need to work with your exercise, healthy food, healthy brain. And this is also important to be independent financially, which is very important for women, be stronger, your knowledge and education, and your passion, you're passionate, what you have the hobby, what do you like to do? You need to management the time also to prepare every day, even 30 minutes to have the break and have relax. Please respect yourself and develop your self-esteem. And we always thinking that in our job position, it's somebody better. And also sometimes the CEO or our manager tell us, it's like in my job, in newspaper, then have 1,000 people who take this job and will be better. Don't trust. Just develop your self-esteem for your position to be strong, be independent, and love your job. And this is my message for all women. And this is emotional support, what we develop, woman to woman, our husbands, our partner in life, our friends. It's also very important. Delegate job, I tell, planning also, and learn new topic. Before you thinking to change the job, please develop second legs before you want change. And you just try. Like I developed my personal magazine, Manhattan Business and Happy Life, and I just try 6 months. How can this work? And I know then I will be good CEO, and I just change. But I have my legs from 6 months, and I know then this is for me to be very independent and open my own company. And sharing financial responsibilities with your partner or with your husband, it's also very important for women. And if you have good husband or partner, take the financial support. Maybe you have good parents who have money. Don't be afraid to ask somebody to help you, because we needed help. Even if you ask for help in your a company, when you work in corporation, don't be afraid to ask your colleague, please help me. I delegate the job and help me because I needed more time, or I don't know, for example, I don't know social media, I don't know technology, new technology, and I just delegate this job to somebody else because the time what I will be learn this is too much for me. I will be angry. Same, I don't like ironing, and I have lady who come one time a week and doing the ironing, because when I ironing, I am so nervous. In this time, 4 hours a week, I have possibility to write new books. I have possibility training somebody else. And you know, if we have possibility to delegate the job, just this save our time and reduce the stress level. And maintain this stable income. If you don't have stable income, I meet many women who have big stress. Why? Because don't have money, stability money. First of all, work in corporation, take the money, have the financial support, develop your second legs, and next take decision if you are ready to change your job. And I wish all women to be healthy, to be emotionally correct. And I am so grateful that I am here. Thank you so much to everybody. And I wish then next conference bring us more women and we work now together. We enjoy our knowledge. And I see many speakers before who will be help me with my job also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cassia. If somebody have a question, can write it here on the chat, or just asking Cassia, please, because Madam Professor need to go to university. So please ask fast if it's possible. Nobody.
No question.
No question. Okay, Cassia, I will ask you one question. When
Yes.
we manage our stress,
Yes.
how we understand that we actually are under stress? Because many times we do not realize we are under stress. We are so comfortable somehow in that position that we do not feel like we are under stress, but actually our health and our life it has problem because of that.
Stress is not what's happening outside. Stress is not what we feel. Stress is how can we manage this feeling. And when we learn how to manage the stress, all of us have some exercises, even me, if I am very stressful, you know, I propose always doing like this to your hands, like this, and next, you'll feel much better. And also, when somebody nervous me, in home or in my work, I just tell, okay, it's not my problem, it's your problem. Your problem, not my problem. My problem, not your problem, 10 times. And I drink the water. And I don't give to my emotional feeling to somebody else. Because when we have discussion with husband, with wife, and we have argue, sometimes we use too much words. If you don't want to use too much words, first of all, we need to thinking, okay, what is my answer? But to come to this level, we need to training. Then situation, what we have every day, some situation, stressful situation, but it's balance in life when we have how we management the stress. This is the successful in life. And we're doing many exercises. Is the breathing exercises when we just sit properly and we just breathe like for first of all, take your breath and silence is 2. You push your breath is 3 and silence is 4. 3 times you're doing this breathing position and you feel quiet. But in our office, when we are stressful, we need to close our mouth first. Don't talk too much, first thinking. And also I dance flamenco. And flamenco, when I am nervous, all my team listening me in the kitchen. When somebody nervous me, I go to the kitchen and I doing my steps, and everybody hear this. And now then I am stressful. And when I open the door, I come back to my office and everybody see it. And now then something happened. And this, believe me, helped me a lot. What's mean? All of us have something, and some exercise, mental exercise, some writing. Also, you take the paper and you take your pen and you write, what do you feel? You put your emotionally feeling to the paper. And next you read and you think, okay, it's nonsense. I want to yelling for somebody. I want expression, my stress. But now I am better. Just broken the paper and throw to the garbage. It's many levels of how to remove the stress. And also, if you are stressed, just start to smile. Go to the restroom and just try to take your mimic like you smile. I know it's difficult. But it's very, very helpful.
Thank you so much, Cassia. I never managed to learn flamenco, but I will come to the state and I will let you teach me. Thank you.
It's very, very important. And if you're doing the steps like flamenco step, even if you don't learn, try. Stress go away.
Thank you so much, Cassia, for your presentation. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. We'll be listening next speaker, Adela, from my phone. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. We will continue with Miss Adela Jensen, a professional with many years of corporate experience in her career, a trailblazer in a male-dominated corporate field. First of all, Adela, thank you for your presence in this event. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Adela, I would like to start by inviting you to tell us a little about the field in which you have worked and about your background in terms of corporate experience, please.
So first of all, I'm so tempted to improvise because I've heard so many beautiful ideas that I recognize myself with, and maybe for some other meetings, I can propose some themes, because some complementary topics that comes into my mind. There are biases, theory of networks. Even from my PhD, I recognize some concepts of some academic models, but I will stop here. And I will tell you something about me, because talking with Laura about the subject that I will tackle today, we said that probably reinventing, the self-reinventing, could be something useful for all of us. So in order to understand what does it mean for me, I will say these words about me. And I am inspired by the last speakers, and I will start with the equilibrium and stress key factors for me, which is my family. I'm a daughter, a wife, a mother, a sister. I have an exceptionally family that really bears with all my professional life, which is quite challenging. I'm playing violin. I like hiking on the mountains, the sun, skiing, off-roads, and movies. So I'm a trained engineer. I graduated from the systems controls and computers with a lot of other school afterwards, executive MBA, independent director diploma from Henley Business School and others. And before the pandemic, I was an executive in top management teams in multinational and local companies in diverse fields like hospitality, telecom, FMCG, financial services, doing different type of jobs, business development, operation, shareholder management, human resources. And I had the chance in my life to have a very interesting business exposures on regulated industry, listed companies, in all life cycle of a company: creation, reorganization, transformation, closure, M&A. Why I'm saying all of this? Because also myself, as it was already told before, I reinvented myself after pandemic, actually in pandemic. And I started, let's say, an entrepreneurial kind of life, because now I'm in boards, in board member, advisory board members in several companies and organizations. I'm myself a private investor in several companies. And I fully reason with what was said before with the technology. That's the future. One of the company is in technology, in AI. And I'm also an associated professor at master and MBA level doing advocacy in all kind of business organization. And from this perspective of gender diversity, I'm also part of some business organization and professional women network, so a network of women's, being part of this committee, trying to help young women to achieve in higher positions in their organizations or to change completely their lives. So I'm active in these mentoring streams and women on board. Another thing that might be interesting for you, and it was also touched before, is that I discovered the wonder of doing extra jobs, meaning extra activities beside my primary job. So I think for all my life, I was active in organizations, and this comes with a lot of fruitful results. I mentioned before, for example, the networking, which can bring you a lot of benefits on a long run. Talking with Laura, she was proposing me to talk a little bit about this difficult life of women in the men's world, because it's true. With all my life, I was mainly and I am playing a lot in this so-called men's world. And I would quote someone that I really liked, who said that a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong it is until it's in hot water. And I can tell you that I was in hot water many, many times, but like Audrey Hepburn was saying, that for her, impossible, the word does not exist. So she was saying something like, I'm possible. So that's also a good lesson for work. What helped me, I think, three things. It was always a hunger for autonomy. Also being myself, so not to lose who I am, the authenticity, and to jump, really to jump for the opportunities that I have in front of me. During my life, I was working in industry where the women were preferred, so like hospitality, or it was a feminized industry like financial services. But on the other hand, there were also industries where there were less women, like supply chain management in operations, or the type of job did not have that many women usually, like in financial services when I was also general secretary in a multinational company. So looking back, actually, I think two things were my recipe: doing my job, but the women usually do their job. So it's nothing new. And probably never lose the femininity. So we should be professional, to be responsible, don't offer unpleasant surprises, to be curious, to have the sense of humor. Sometimes it helps you to get out from uncomfortable situation, and not to forget the joy of doing things. With other words, one of the speakers was mentioning this. Getting from the comfort zone, test, and never forget the partnerships and networking. For me, that works perfectly. I love being in a team. And last but not least, I accepted my choices because my subject is reinvention. Not very rarely I was to a job interview. I was called, and I was going for a type of job, and at the interview I was offered another one. It's just to jump. It's when someone is offering you an amazing opportunity that you are not very sure of it, just say yes, and then the learn will come later. And looking back, actually, you may see a series of wonderful experience that actually build the new you for the next experience. There were also some negative parts because life is not always very easy. So I still bear the woman's incapability of saying no very easily. And that comes with a balance that you should do with your personal life. So that's really something to be careful. In years, I realized that perfection cannot be reached. So it's about learning to let go, and this to be done before it becomes a pain. Indeed, there were also situations where being a woman was not easy. Even for example, I'll give when I was in financial services, being a general secretary in the years of 2000, that was a very closed circle at the top of men. So coming from the outside of the industry, being a woman, even a blonde, and smiling a lot was not really in the design. So I had to earn my place. So it was not easy. Then talking with Laura, she asked me what motivates me. I would say 4 things. One is to have a purpose, a goal. I have to achieve something. And usually I fell in love with my jobs. So as I said, I was proposed another thing many, many times during my career. And I just fell in love and I found that purpose. I love freedom. And that comes with the obligation and right to use it, but obligation to know how to use it. But I love autonomy, and freedom really motivates me. The third one would be the mastery. I don't know if I had a year in my life when I didn't do something more in learning. So the accumulation of knowledge, I think it's always good, and it gives you more powerful intuition because it's spreading you the know-how, and then you can understand easier and see a little bit quicker and further than the others. And last but not least, I said it, the partnership. I like being in teams. I don't like being alone. Or if I do it when I want really to concentrate for deeper things, when silence allows you to gather your thoughts. Then going further about uncertainty. What type of uncertainty can happen in your life when you are reinventing very often? And I will start before giving you some examples, to say that I fully agree. It was said even before. I have also my personal motto, attitude is everything. So it's important to have the right attitude at the right moment and this helps you to decide much better. It was said calculated risk. And then when you have this uncertainty, just go to the basics. It's a regeneration by simple things and solid values. And now coming to some examples of uncertainties that can happen when you go in this continuous process of reinventing yourself. For example, when you choose to make a change, just jump. I said it before, I will repeat it as many times as possible. Of course, by the time you get more experience, you will do a much calculated jump, but just do it. And it's like when you have a problem, you decide to do or not to do something. There is not half measures. So just jump. Another situation would be when I do something right, but it's not perfect. Again, I said it, just let go. You have to stop, and that's a process of learning how to let go. For me, passing from an executive position after 30 years to go to a non-executive position, it was hard, believe me. And it still is. I still have some reminiscence. When you don't have all the hands-on the things that you have to decide. And that's a process. Another example would be in the moments when you simply cannot decide. And the solution could be to go back to your values and beliefs. At least for me, it helps. And it was Sartre who said, what do I do with what life has made out of me? That means, in other words, that you achieve at a certain moment in life. It doesn't have to be vertical, transversal, whatever in the career, but also in your personal life as a puzzle from this mixture of personal and professional life, when you cannot decide what's next. The values and beliefs are maybe the solution. Another one would be when you get stuck, either with a lack of time, of resources, and you must recognize your limits and create alternatives. Another one would be the crisis, and that's, the famous saying, you never have to spoil a good crisis. And here, my solution is not to panic. And I have this also passed through my next generation to our daughter. I was so afraid when she was small to lose her in the supermarket. So I told her that, I repeated it in several stages and with different words, that she has only one single rule in her life: don't panic. That allows you to think in every single situation. So when you have a crisis, just don't panic. Then you might have moments of pain. For me, the huge pain that happened a couple of years ago when my values were attacked. Again, just go back to the basics. Another one would be when you have to decide to let go for something that is a quick and sure win on short term to be successful on long term. I think what it's important here is to try to have the right arguments for your teams, because that's the most important, not to lose them. And it's exactly what is happening now in business with the sustainability, when we have to, this buzzword that it's everywhere, when we have to invest a lot in the short term, and that means to have a discount on many other things because you have costs. But on a long term, for sure, we will be winning. We will be winner. And probably a last category that I thought of for this evening would be a combination of being a woman and being first in something. And that, believe me, it's not an easy thing. But again, Marie Curie was saying before, and she was saying it very well, the way of progress is neither swift nor easy. You have a feeling of isolation, even though you're happy because you are the first, you want to be successful. But again, this might be a distress. This shouldn't make you to give up. It's just to reevaluate the assumptions, be sure that that path, it's okay, and don't give up if those are confirmed. Then Laura asked me to think about misogyny. You know that state when women feel that men don't appreciate them that much. And she asked me very bluntly, did it happen to you? And it made me think in the past that actually even in my first attempt of job, I had this kind of experience, but I didn't call it in that way. I applied for a job at an automation line. And after the guy asked me so many questions and I was happy that I was able to answer to all of them, the answer was no. And the reason was that I was a woman. But I was so young and I didn't really understood more than 30 years ago what does it mean. Then during the life, I've heard so many women saying that for the same thing that they were expressing and a man was also repeating, the man was listened, the man was heard. And that's a reality. It happens quite a lot in meetings. If you will be attentive to look for this situation. So I've heard quite a lot of women saying this. Then there are those opportunities when you feel that you are the first, but they're getting mature because in the first job you don't realize you are too young. But then you might have a fear of failure. It happened to me when I was asked to take over the coordination of a big business organizations alliance that was representing about 60% of the Romanian GDP. So it was quite a big responsibility in a very tough world doing public policies. And in that kind of context, of course, a woman was a little bit differently looked at. And again, I applied my simple, easy rule. I just jumped and I took it. And I had a situation when I had to transform the organization and also manage a crisis situation. But it's about using your previous experience and just do it and not refuse, as I said, a good crisis. And then why we are doing all of this? What is the purpose? My purpose actually would be to leave something good behind, something useful. And here, the first thing that I think of when I'm saying this every single time are the people that I raised, the people that were generous enough to allow me in their lives, because I was mentor and I'm still am mentor for many women, especially. And of course, beautiful project. And it's about living the life with joy, gratitude, respect, and just live it with very simple principles. And also a person before me said, the only regret that I have is time. that I don't have time and I don't have many lives in parallel to do all the things that are around us. But at a certain moment, we have to make choices and accept them. So I have some advices and things to remember from my intervention. I would think at 5 things. The first one is to make your own future every single day. The attitude counts, as I said. A life lived with attention and intention, like Chopra was saying. The laws cannot solve everything, and we have to help ourselves and help each other in communities. And also to learn to accept our emotions and vulnerabilities, and to understand and identify them, why. And these are very personal, and find solutions. The second one would be the mindset. And I love the entrepreneurial mindset that talks to me about passion, about courage, about creativity, perseverance, taking risk, dream, and think about something which is bigger. To learn to make decisions, and especially in uncertainty, as I said before. And not to let yourself overwhelm with prejudice, because you have to succeed. It was someone who said in a book about war, whoever defends himself all the time never wins. So, and yes, we can and should cry in the pillow, but the next day we should start and take the life all over again. The third thing would be the constant learning. And here it's about every single experience that you can learn from. And it was very well said about the mentorship. Everyone can be a mentor, and you can learn from everything and everyone around you. And please allow yourself also to change your mind, to recognize a mistake. It was a book about politics. I don't remember the name, but the idea was that to come back, so to reinvent yourself, actually, my subject, to come back, you have to leave first. Pour revenir, il faut partir. That's in French. It was the book. So in this constant learning is also to be honest with yourself, to know what you have to learn, to ask questions, to have a personal philosophy about this learning, and to have patience. This I've learned from my husband. I cultivated in time. It was not easy, but I had to learn it. The fourth thing would be the courage. And here is true, I'm a little bit pushy because I love the autonomy and the freedom itself. But the courage, it's about many things. When you think about reinventing yourself, but not only, also in your current life. And putting the skin in the game, like Taleb was saying, actually, you have to have the physical courage. So the resilience, the balance, the awareness of personal limits, the social courage to be authentic without apologizing, to be morally courage, to do the right thing, even though it's uncomfortable and unpopular, emotional, and this is about living your emotions, no matter if they are positive and negative, and the spiritual one, to live with purpose. The fifth one would be the femininity. And I really encourage you never to lose it, because we cannot be men. I've learned very early in my life that when a man is tough, a woman is hysterical. So we should be really feminine, but do it in our way, what we want to achieve. So this femininity actually, it's a courage also to remain authentic, to have trust, independence, and most of all, the independent thinking. And I will close my intervention by letting you know also about a book that I've read recently in my last school, and that is about the 5 intelligence. And I encourage you to read it. It's written by 2 authors. One I remember, Andrew Kakabatse. He was also one of my professors at Henley Business School. So the 5 Qs. And those are the IQ, as we know it, is the intelligence, the ability to accumulate knowledge, the ability to have deductive reasoning, to balance information, to compare when building something with convincing arguments. The emotional intelligence that we all know, so the ability to understand and manage your own emotions as well as those around you. One which is very interesting, the higher you get in the hierarchy, is the political intelligence. And that's a kind of EQ with an agenda. It's an antidote for complexity. It helps you to navigate the agendas of different stakeholders while keeping their motivation, their engagement. The 4th one is the resilience. That reflects the ability to perform in unfavorable conditions or stress, in continuous pressure. And this we can appreciate a lot in the last 3 years. And the moral quotient, the moral intelligence, is when you understand your own value system and you are able to put clear borders at individual, team, and organizational level. I hope this will be useful for you. What I discovered in this book, and again, I'm encouraging you to search for it, is a pyramid that shows you in your professional life, author's opinion, what are the most important intelligence in different career stages. And some of the results are quite surprising. I promise you, you won't get bored.
Thank you so much, Adela. If somebody have a question? Nobody? I have a question for Adela, because I really felt like at the university student, and she being my teacher, my professor, I want to ask her, if in this moment you are a mentor for a young woman who wants to enter in the corporate environment, what advice will you give to her? What will be your only one advice you will give to her?
Only one advice, I would repeat what I said to my daughter: don't panic. It will allow her to think, to feel, to enjoy the things that are happening around her. It will allow the intellectual freedom to learn, unlearn, relearn. So I think in a world where everything is changing around us, not to panic and to allow ourselves to think and to feel in the right way could be the only advice that I can say. I have many, but and I would say that there is no magic stick that works for everybody. So it's a very personalized solution that works with. When I'm starting a mentorship relation, I want to know the person. I want to feel the person. And we talk a lot before we start a mentorship. And also I present myself, because I might not be her good mentor. Well, it never happened up to now, so I continued, and I'm still friends with everybody. I have quite a very nice network around me. Maybe one day I will invite some of them if you allow me. They have wonderful stories, wonderful.
That would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Dara. Thank you for your presentation and for your speech. I think I speak in the name of everyone here that it was beautiful and it was very, it was an innovation, I can say. And thank you so much for your time and for your
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen, this is, I guess, the end of this event.
No,
I
no,
want
no, no, no,
no,
no, no, no, no, no,
no.
no.
The boss say no. Okay.
No, no, I'm not the boss. I'm not the boss. I just have things to say. So, if everybody would allow me, I think we have half an hour more. I know everything got derailed at one point, and we needed to wrap up. But a lot of things were addressed tonight, and there is a lot of back and forth between women and corporate, and women and men on the international stage, and personally from what I've seen so far, we actually live in a time where women can't relate to men, men can't relate to women, and nobody can relate to life. So this is coming from experience with a lot of different cultures and a lot of different stages that we really need to address these things. And if you would bear with me, I think Adela and Jenny and Lucia, all three of you are married, or all three of you are wives, and you have children, or around that kind of. And this is something that I feel needs to be brought out, that we can succeed in life while having a family and while having a full life. We don't have to sacrifice the pleasure, the actual joy of having a great family on the having a great career. And this is something that I live myself, because I chose some time ago to actually build a family, stay at home with my kids and my wife, and just build on it as much as possible. And this is something that I personally feel I want to publish there for people, because looking at the young people today, they just come in and we can't do this, we can't do that, we need to sacrifice so many parts, and also the divorce rate is rising heavily. So this is something. Hi, Nancy. Nice to see you. You're in the car. Okay.
Yes.
So shortly, I think in the field that we really need to address this family to professional life combination in the way that I feel that we can achieve it. It's simple, and nobody's actually talking about it. Everybody's talking how to succeed in corporate. The people are talking, you need to do this. I think Jenny actually hit the point there a bit with at the beginning. That was her topic, if I'm remembering correctly. Please, can we take 10 minutes to send a message out to the people that you can have a family and you actually can succeed professionally?
Absolutely. The bulk of the work that I do now is between parents that just cannot communicate once they separate. And one of the biggest problems that they have is that society today very much values the me culture, whereas instead of me, what can I do for you? And that seems to be a big chunk of what's missing as people are coming up through, and as people are sort of becoming adults and becoming contributing members of society. They're not being taught to consider everybody else. They're being taught about what matters to them. And there is a place for both. I'm not saying that people shouldn't matter about what's happening for them, but we live as human beings in a community. We thrive on community. We thrive on being part of a community, on being part of a pack. You know, it's herd mentality. We thrive when we're together. And when people are different, they tend to get sort of like pushed out to the side so they're easier pickings. But we're not taking care of those people. We're not putting our arm around them and saying, what do you need? We're just kind of, leaving them to the wolves and saying, thank God it's not me.
Instead of how can we help and how can we achieve together?
Absolutely, because even though somebody may not have the physical capability or the mental capability, there is still something that everybody can bring to the table, no matter what it is.
About bringing to the table, this is open conversation. No
Mhm.
need to take turns. Anybody can jump in at any time, please.
I'll jump. So I think nothing can be done without achieving a personal equilibrium. And that's a very personal equation. In the world where I'm living, actually, I know a lot of associations helping people. And I think, yes, it's very relevant. What can I do for you? How can I help? That should be really the buzzword. And the world where we are living now, and pandemic and the multiple crises that we are living now, I think we'll redefine new cultures of family, of work, of being together. So here, actually, we just have to stick with each other and define them in a valuable way. But coming back, if you don't have equilibrium, and that's on your own formula, you cannot achieve performance. You cannot be happy. This we should define. I cannot stay with you this evening unless I have an exceptional family who allows me to do it, because here in Romania it's almost 10 o'clock.
Exactly true. Same on my behalf.
Yeah. So it's just to find your own equilibrium. And I remember also a personal situation when I missed a hobby for many, many years, violin. And when I had the chance to take back again, I had to sacrifice something, but I was happy. So I was waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was rehearsing because I knew that I would go to play in the Philharmonic of Paris. So for me, it was the dream of my life. But for this, I sacrificed something else. Unfortunately, not the job. And well, so that's why it's about finding your own equilibrium, what makes you happy, and in the right proportion. And there is no stable percentage. I think in life, there are periods and periods when you just have other percentages.
I think the visualization of a human heartbeat is very relevant there with what you just said,
Correct.
Adela. Yeah, and I think we expect so much from other people that we expect perfection, yet we're not capable of being perfect ourselves. So why would we attach our expectations to something that is scientifically proven to not be achievable?
Exactly.
There's double standards, and it shouldn't be.
Thank you for the double standard statement. That's yeah, is there. So would you like to continue here, or can I wrap up the YouTube? And we can take a few minutes off YouTube after. So for everybody on YouTube,
one thing I would like to mention, because
Please,
you brought this topic, and is this questions like, can I have both and a job and a good life?
Again.
And it's a lot of people struggle with it and they don't succeed. And one thing is they don't ask for help. The other thing is they don't ask the right questions, and the right questions start with, how can I achieve? Not if I can achieve it. The question is, how can I achieve it? Who is the person I can look at that is succeeding, truly succeed, not faking it, but truly succeeding? Do they have a happy life? How are their kids? What is the relationship? What do they achieve at work? And how do they make it possible? The other thing is, which are my priorities? And yes, Adela was right. Sometimes we need to give up on things, and we need to ask ourselves, which are the things that I can give up on, still be happy, still have healthy relationship with my family and still have a career? Once we ask these questions and not be afraid of the truth, because sometimes can be like, okay, actually my relationship with my spouse is not going well. It's better to be aware of that then and then do something about it. Or like my work is not going well and I may get fired. That's good to ask the question, what can I do now? And not be afraid of asking for help.
And not delay them.
As well, yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's something I was really thinking while we were talking, because so many. So I went to my university, the engineering one. I went very old. It's like 30. I started it, and I had a lot of young people in my classes, and they were just concerned with partying and going out and clubs and everything, and that really goes out the door once you mature, I think. And this is something that a lot of people, I think even in Romania, I see the young people, they get influenced a lot, and especially this transition period between when they finish university and then they go into family life, they start missing. I know my wife is we married when she was 27, and she said that, "Oh, I miss this fun and everything," but she wasn't really going to it. She was just missing the kind of attachment that was there with that life, which actually I am feeling it was kind of destructive. And I think I'm right over here. But the message that I was sending to young people is, this is normal. This is something that we all go through. And society has, like you said, not double, but a lot more standards than we can ever amount to. So we need to be very careful there on the things that cause the depression and are like relevant, and what we just lie ourselves on doing. We might be wrong here if anybody wants to correct me.
No, I think the only person that people need to really be true to is themselves, and to aspire to be a contributing, useful member of society. And, if we can do that, then we have an amazing future on our hands as a race.
As a race.
As a race, as a
As a
species,
species,
human
yes,
human
exactly.
beings, that's what it amounts to, isn't it?
That's great. So let me wrap up the YouTube here. So we're gonna have this on YouTube, and everybody's gonna be able to check it out on our channel. So for those of you that stuck around till the end, this was our 4th day of International Women's Day. Happy to organize this all throughout. And actually, I was the guy behind the panel here, coordinating and sharing everything on social media. And I listened to each and every one, even every single speech moved me in a different way, and I got a lot of information. So I would like to thank everybody and all the speakers tonight and the previous days, and hope to see